Well, hey, it's great to see everybody here today. We're going to be talking about 9 ways accountants, CPAs, bookkeepers can use social content posting to raise brand awareness. You know, one of the most important things I think for any business that is out there today in the public is the understanding the power of social media. But oftentimes it's a little difficult, right, to figure out how do I put my business in the best light? Because, hey, let's face it, here's a big question. How does an industry like CPA and accounting and bookkeeping that's is considered rather, let's face it, boring because it deals with facts and numbers, how do they grab attention? How do they grab attention? And I think that's a struggle oftentimes you see in other businesses, not just CPAs and bookkeepers and accountants, but in that industry, it's kind of the thing that they face. Because let's look at the challenges. You know, accounting is made up of a lot of rules and regulations. The industry is regulated, so there's things they can do and can't do, and so it kind of sometimes is a struggle to figure out what can I put out there. And let's face it, what is it really all about? Numbers, right? Numbers. It's about numbers, and that's pretty boring. I mean, 2 + 2 is always going to equal 4. No matter which way you make it look, it's about numbers. And then on the other side of that, the clientele of CPAs and bookkeepers and accountants, it's about people's money, and it tends to be pretty personal for people. It's like we don't want to always put a lot of things out there. And then it's routine. It's a standardized routine process that they use. So sometimes it's hard to think creatively about what could I post out there that raises the awareness of my business. Well, today we're going to be talking about that. We're going to cover in this presentation, how do you use eye-catching professional images and graphics in your business to promote it? How do you use variety to limit what's called post blindness? How to use branding to heighten your awareness. How do you create consistency? Right now, we're about just a few days technically away from the big tax day here in the United States, and so every CPA is really getting busier and busier. And there's going to come a time here real soon, in just a few days, a couple of weeks, that they're going to be super busy. Well, things like this tend to fall off, and they may not ever get started back. So how do you be consistent? How do you use hashtags to remote tracking? How do you use engaging fonts and color schemes? How do you put that together? How do you repurpose your content so you can use it on other social platforms? That is where you can get more mileage out of your work that you have and out of the creation of graphics and content. And then how do you use content to sell your services without selling? Because, hey, let's face it, there's a lot of people that don't like to sell. But in some ways, this service is pretty much straightforward. You need their services or you don't. So how do you sell that without selling it? All right. My name is Dean Renfro. I am the Chief Marketing Officer at Your Marketing Doctor, and we're really here today just to help. We're here to help your business leverage your time, your energy, and your resources so that you can do what you do by letting us do what we do. And so I'm going to be talking today and answering these questions. So let's jump right in. First of all, use eye-catching professional images and graphics. It's very important in a profession that is professional in the sense of how it's viewed by other people, and the fact that they're licensed and it requires certain certifications for CPAs and accountants and bookkeepers. And so there's very much a professional atmosphere around this business. So what does that mean for your content? Well, it needs to be professional. But the concept really about this is that you don't want to get yourself in trouble by borrowing, I'll put quotes around that, borrowing other people's images. Because oftentimes those images are copyrighted or they're licensed, and basically you have stolen them. And you don't want to get accused of that. So you need to use professional images and graphics. And many graphics are licensed and they're copyrighted, and so you can't just grab them and use them. So reality is you want to start from a position of being professional all the way through this. The next question we want to answer is how do you use variety to limit post blindness? Notice in this post that there are various components in this post, and very different than the previous post, and you'll see very different than the next post. Why do you do that? Why do you do that is so that people are looking for variety. They're looking for difference. They don't just see the same thing. Oh, I know what that said. I saw that already. And when they really didn't, because you had something different on that, but it looked just like the other one. There are certain things you want to keep consistent, but there's other things you want variety about. So notice how this graphic, this post graphic, creates attention. It uses a unique thing that people often do, frequently asked questions. We'll be talking more about how do you use posts in series or themes to create the comeback effect. This is a concept and idea of that. And notice the colors of it. It pulls your eye toward it. It keeps you from having post blindness. Then you also want to use branding. You want to use your logo or your URL or your phone number on the post so that as they get promoted around and people share them, it's tied to you. You don't know how many times I've seen people borrow, in air quotes, other people's quote because they like what it said, other people's graphic, and put it over there on their page only to have a prospect or a client click it and it take them totally off their page to somewhere else, to the origination of that content. That doesn't help your business. If they share it and it's somebody else's, it doesn't help your business. So it's good to be able to put your logo or a URL or your phone number on your content. Again, notice professionally licensed graphics. Notice the color schemes. These things all become important in being able to keep from creating post blindness, but also to continue to look professional. It also helps us realize that it's important to use color schemes and to use fonts properly. Notice how the color in this post stands out. You immediately recognize, oh, accountants. This is an accountant post. How to ask questions to ask accountants before you hire them. So here again, we find it's professional. While it uses a cartoon character, it's a professional cartoon character, right? And it's designed in such a way that it's obvious that it was created professionally. And so it's important to use good fonts. It's important to use good colors to be able to create posts that people will look at and consider this is professional. It's in a professional industry. You also want to use content to sell your services without selling. Notice how with this professional photograph in this content, we've created a graphic image that posts a question. What does a certified public accountant do? That's a good question, right? And notice how we have the answer there, very easy to read, but it sells the service of CPA without you having to sell it. It begins to plant the idea, oh, this is what a CPA does. Oh, you know what? I have a business. I need to keep it compliant with sales tax. I don't always understand all that. It sells your services without you selling it. And it's very professional. It's got the logo on it. It's got all the things we've talked about so far to help you promote your business, to create better awareness of your business. You also can use series or theme posts to create that comeback component. Here we notice tips for hiring the best accountant for your business. Well, okay, what numbers are there of those? Are there a series of those that you promote over time that cause people, well, I want to go see what other questions, what other tips they're giving me about that. Notice that the graphic has a different design to it with the slanted blue corner over it. And so it creates a different appearance. And so it's important to understand that you want to use content that creates a comeback. Come back to here. Come back to my page. Come back to find out what else you can learn about my business, about my industry. Come back. You also can use hashtags in the blurb to promote tracking. When I talk about the blurb, I'm talking about the part that goes in the written area of your post, usually above the post. If you're doing it in say Twitter or Instagram or Pinterest or LinkedIn or Facebook, you find that you have a space to write something. Well, in that space is where you put the blurb, and you don't necessarily always want to repeat what's in the post. It's kind of redundant. You may want to rephrase some things or make another statement there, but you want to use hashtags so that you can track and other people can track the post. So if you use a hashtag, IRS tips, a hashtag IRS tips, or hashtag accounting tips, or hashtag CPA, then when people type that in, your posts show up, even if it's on somebody else's page where they type that in. Most of the social platforms will show all of the posts that have those kinds of tags connected to them. So hashtags become important. You don't want to overdo it, but you want to definitely be using them to create that effect, to give you branding out there beyond just your page. You also want to use content posts and graphic posts to be able to, that you can repurpose for other social platforms. As I mentioned, if you design the post right and you size it properly, you can actually use it on these 4 platforms: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. You don't have to remake it. You can actually post it to those as well. So that saves you time, that saves you energy, that saves you resources, but it broadens your people's awareness of your business, because different people use different platforms socially, and you'll find it. And of course, if they use more than one of those and they see you on both platforms, it gives them the awareness of your business is, this person's everywhere. Their business must be successful. They're very good at what they do. Notice this kind of thing. And then last but not least of all the how-tos that we talked about, and certainly not all of them that we could talk about, is you have to be consistent. You have to be consistent. As I mentioned earlier, we're at the time of this broadcast, this live stream, we're getting into the last weeks of February. Soon, the tax day in the U.S. is going to be coming, and accountants are going to be busy from now to then. They're not going to look up and do much of anything else except work on people's taxes. They don't have time for this. So how do you be consistent during this time? Well, we recommend to you that you use an auto posting service so that it continues to be posted at least 2 times a day on those platforms that we talked about, so that your business is seen over and over and over again. The awareness of who you are gets raised. So let's see if we answered all those questions. Did we provide information about eye-catching professional images and graphics? Did we talk about using variety to limit post blindness? Did we talk about heightening your brand by using your logos on all your images? Did we talk about being consistent? We just did. We talk about hashtags and how important that is, so that you show up on other people's feeds and other people's concepts when they type in hashtags. Sometimes that's how people look. They just type in a hashtag. We talked about using engaging fonts and colors to really make your content pop. We talked about repurposing your content for other social platforms so that you get mileage out of one post, one piece of content. You do that 2 times a day. That's like recommended in Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. Then you're gonna have a lot of content out there for people to find you. Rather than being in a boat fishing with one hook in the water in an ocean of water and fish, you're able to put multiple lines out there by using posts in all kinds of places. And then last, we talked about using content to sell your services without selling. So we checked all the boxes today, and we're glad we can do that for you. Because again, our role at Your Marketing Doctor is to help your business leverage your time, your energy, and your resources so that you can focus on what you do by letting us focus on what we do. You can find out, if you'd like to find out more about how we could help your CPA firm or your accounting business or bookkeeping business, go to www.socialpostingmachine.com/accounting. There's a form there that you can fill out and set up an appointment with us, and we can talk to you about how we can help you do this very thing. www.socialpostingmachine.com/accounting. Hey, thanks for being with us today. And if you know other accountants, bookkeepers, or CPAs that could benefit from this live stream, share this with them and hopefully help them in their business find better exposure in the social platforms that people are on each and every day.